You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Good afternoon and welcome to Live at 4. The sunshine feels good again.
It does feel nice today.
Yeah.
Nice and mild.
I saw some buds on the trees, so spring is upon us.
We're getting there.
Well, in today's news, if you live in Dane County, there's a good chance you've flown through the Dane County Regional Airport or you attended an event at the Alliant Energy Center.
This morning, the Dane County executive unveiled updates to both. Our Ellie LaLiberte has the story.
In 2024, the Dane County Regional Airport saw its second highest passenger travel in its 85-year history. To keep up, the county executive is looking to add international designation to its list of services. This means air carriers will be able to provide international flights out of Dane County. Currently, the county is looking for a new airport director to help with the project. There's no cost or timeline out yet.
Adding the international designation is in response to a call from our community, and we look forward to being able to work with who it is that we hire to lead our airport to envision not only that international designation, but what the next steps that go along with that.
That's not the only plan on the county executive's list. The Alliant Energy Center campus will see a facelift. The Energy Center project will look to revamp the center and the Veterans Memorial Coliseum. Both will cost roughly $150 million. Part of that will come from private funding. Construction could begin as early as 2026 and be completed by 2027 or 2028.
The fact that Madison, Wisconsin can sell out 2 stadium shows in one summer is huge. It's a huge indication to the entertainers that this is a place to play. So we really think now is the time to jump on that.
Downtown Madison officials are also hopeful that the center's renovation will be an economic driver for the city. Reporting in Madison, Ellie LaLiberte, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Ellie. You could hear that wind going outside. Yeah. Let's get our first word and forecast with meteorologist Jacob Montesano. Jacob.
Yeah, but however windy it is right now, it's only going to get a lot windier for tomorrow. Now, the good news is that temperatures will be mild tomorrow, and they're pretty comfortable right now as well. Temperatures right now across the board, mostly in the 40s, lower 50s for areas in southwestern Wisconsin, but we could see more 50s for tomorrow. Now, as we take a look at that current wind speed, around 15 to 20 miles per hour for a lot of the region, some areas even gustier than that. Taking a look at the wind gusts currently up around 25 to 30 miles per hour. But like I mentioned, these winds will only get worse for tomorrow, especially by the afternoon. Now, the good news is that we're not expecting much in the form of rain or snow. Right now, we're mostly dry, and we are going to continue to see clear skies overnight. But as we get into the morning, the clouds will increase, and that will also allow the winds to increase. We have a few small chances of rainfall, but the big story tomorrow will be those winds. There's actually a wind advisory in effect from noon to 6 p.m. Friday for all of southern Wisconsin. And I'll talk more in detail about just how windy it could get coming up a little bit later.
All right, Jacob, thank you. Law enforcement officials are investigating the suspicious deaths of actor Gene Hackman, his wife, and dog. A worker conducting routine maintenance at the actor's Santa Fe home found the door open. When he went inside, he found the 95-year-old Oscar winner dead in a mudroom and his wife dead in a bathroom. There was an open prescription bottle and pills scattered across the counter near her body. Despite no obvious signs of foul play, investigators have not yet ruled out that possibility.
It's not normal to find 2 people deceased in the residence. That's concerning.
The sheriff's office also says they've been able to rule out the possibility of carbon monoxide poisoning, and they'll provide more information after an autopsy is complete.
Federal rulings this week have been back and forth on the National Institute of Health's ability to award funding and review grants.
Arman Rahman spoke to biochemists right here in Madison who say it's throwing their life-saving work into uncertainty.
Solving problems and saving lives is all in a day's work for researchers like biochemists here at UW-Madison. But right now they're trying to seek answers that can't be found in a test tube, the future of their funding from the National Institutes of Health.
Aaron Hoskins and his lab of undergraduate and graduate students study gene expression. Most recently, they published a paper on the therapeutic effects of drugs that treat spinal muscular atrophy. Hoskins' current NIH grant ends April 30th, and he's waiting on an advisory council to renew it in May. But just this week, the Trump administration instituted, then partially lifted a pause on grant reviews, which leaves some meetings uncertain.
The everyday workers at the NIH who I talk to, they don't have any more answers than I do, and so everything seems to be changing at almost a daily pace, which was really difficult for planning purposes and the ability to maintain a healthy, thriving research environment for my staff.
75% of his lab's budget comes from NIH, broken down into direct costs like graduate students, lab staff, and experiments, and indirect costs like safety, budget management, and regulatory oversight.
It's not just current research. Hoskins says the training of future generations of scientists also hangs in the balance. I'll have more on that tonight at 5. For now, reporting in Madison, Armand Rahman, News 3 Now.
The NIH proposed capping indirect costs of research at 15% for new and existing grants.
As the confusion over funding freezes continues, lawmakers around the country have been holding town halls to give their constituents answers. Earlier today, we heard from Senator Tammy Baldwin, who weighed in on what she thinks about the president's latest action.
He doesn't get to fund the things he likes and not fund the things he dislikes. And he's doing some of that right now. The funding freeze, the firings, et cetera, are, in my opinion, both unconstitutional and in many cases unlawful also.
Those actions are currently making their way through the courts. In the latest decision, a federal judge refused to block the Trump administration from firing intelligence officers who worked on diversity issues.
Well, coming up next on Live at 4, USAID workers are cleaning out their desks.
How much in program aid the president plans to cut.
Continuing coverage now of the Trump administration's overhaul of the federal government.
Fired United States Agency for International Development workers are packing up. The agency's website directs workers who are on leave or who have been fired to bring their own boxes, tape, and containers to remove their belongings from the Ronald Reagan building in Washington, D.C.
Walking in the building and seeing all the pictures of our projects that were taken down, work like getting children vaccines or providing food aid, things that really matter, being treated as if they're nothing.
I just wanted them to know that I appreciated the 20 years that we spent together protecting the American people from deadly pandemic diseases and ensuring that people throughout the world understood that America is great because America is good.
Court documents show the administration has plans to eliminate more than 90% of the agency's foreign aid contracts. It comes after the U.S. Supreme Court paused a deadline that would have required the Trump administration to release $2 billion in frozen foreign aid.
Ahead of the Ukrainian president's visit to Washington tomorrow, President Trump is meeting with Britain's Prime Minister.
Erica Brown has more from the White House.
President Trump, can you get a peace deal done in Ukraine?
Yes. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer arrived at the White House for talks with President Trump about ending the war between Russia and Ukraine.
Thank you for changing the conversation to bring about the possibility that now we can have a peace deal.
Starmer is pushing Trump to get assurances that if there is a peace deal, the U.S. will help provide security agreements to stem Russian aggression.
You're talking about a peacekeeping force. We have to make a deal first. Right now, we don't have a deal.
Trump says he wants Europe to provide the security agreements, but he added a new deal that would give the U.S. greater access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals will help keep the peace.
It's really going to get us into that country. We'll be working there. We'll have a lot of people working there. And so in that sense, it's very good. It's a backstop, you could say. I don't think anybody's going to play around if we're there with a lot of workers.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will meet with Trump at the White House Friday. Back home, Ukraine's foreign ministry said Ukraine must keep all of its land as part of a peace deal.
Russia cannot claim any of the Ukrainian territories. Ukraine has its internationally recognized borders. They have not changed, despite any of Russia's attempts.
U.S. and Russian delegations held peace talks in Turkey Thursday. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
Meta is responding after users reported seeing violent graphic videos on their Instagram feeds. Earlier this week, numerous users reported seeing a stream of recommended videos in their reels showing people being beaten or killed. The issue comes as Meta has been pushing for more short-form video engagement on its platforms as its rival TikTok's future is uncertain. Meta did not say what caused the glitch, but has released a statement reading, "We have fixed an error that caused some users to see content in their Instagram Reels feed that should not have been recommended. We apologize for the mistake."
An update this afternoon on the Pope's health. The Vatican says Pope Francis continues to improve from double pneumonia. For the second day in a row, doctors have avoided saying he is in critical condition. The Pope remains in the hospital. His doctors say he needs more time before they can change their prognosis. The 88-year-old leader has been receiving supplemental oxygen through a nasal tube. Despite slight improvement, the Vatican has canceled a Holy Year audience scheduled for Saturday. It's still not clear if the Pope will skip his Sunday noon blessing for the third week in a row.
And let's get another check at your first warn forecast. Here's meteorologist Jacob Montesano.
Thanks, Brady. Here's a look at the 3 things you need to know. Very windy for your Friday, and that will cause temperatures to cool down over the weekend, but temperatures still close to average, just not quite as mild as we've seen the last couple of days or what we will see tomorrow. And then as we get towards next week, we are expecting a good amount of rainfall, especially Tuesday into Wednesday. Now, there's a wind advisory for tomorrow for everyone from noon to 6 p.m. This is going to include areas surrounding not just our area, because really the entire Midwest will see these very gusty winds. So we'll see those winds calm down for the evening, but then pick back up for the morning hours. Wind gusts could get up to around 30 miles per hour for the morning, but then by the afternoon, the winds are going to be howling. Gusts could be up to around 45 to 50 miles per hour, and it's still going to be windy as we head into the evening hours, just starting to improve a little bit. But notice these winds will be out of the northwest by the time we get to Friday evening, which will cause cooler temperatures for Saturday. And speaking of Saturday, we'll start out breezy, but it will get better throughout the day. And then Sunday, the winds will be a lot calmer. But when wind gusts get up this high, it actually could create some minor damage to buildings, but especially don't be surprised if you see some fallen branches and especially leaves blowing around because it is going to get pretty gusty during the afternoon for tomorrow, so just definitely be aware of that. Now, as we take a look at the rainfall forecast, we do have a small chance of precipitation tomorrow. Clear for the evening with those clouds developing once the winds pick up. And as we get into the afternoon, that's going to be the best chance of some light rain. But notice most of our area probably won't see any precipitation at all, but we could see some of those few passing light showers. And then as temperatures cool down during the evening and overnight Friday, we could see some light snow showers as well, but we're certainly not expecting any accumulation. And then we're going to be dry for Saturday morning. Now, taking a look at the temperature forecast, tomorrow will be mild. Those winds will help keep those temperatures mild. We could have highs in the lower 50s. And then for the weekend, cooler, but still, comfortable for southern Wisconsin standards. Those temperatures not too far off from average. Will be in the 30s with plenty of sunshine. And like I mentioned, by Sunday, the winds will be a lot calmer. And the temperatures will warm up a little bit for Monday and Tuesday, but then for Tuesday afternoon into Wednesday, we are expecting quite a bit of rainfall. I'll talk more in detail about that still to come.
Calm start to the month of March. I can't believe March is on Saturday already.
What happened?
Jacob, thank you. A Black History Month celebration is underway in Madison tonight. The Wisconsin Legislative Black Caucus is hosting Black Advocacy Day right now.
Our Tanisha Shaw is live at the Madison Concourse Hotel. Tanisha, tell us about this festival.
Hi, Susan and Brady. Yes, I'm here at the Madison Concourse Hotel. And let me tell you first, it's a little bit quiet right now. You can see we're kind of in a mix and mingle right now. They're waiting for a governor's reception that's going to take place in about an hour or two. I asked my friends at One City School to perform again. You guys didn't get to hear, but hopefully you will in like a minute or two or less than that. These kids are drumming. It's fantastic. But back to, more on this event, I should say this event is used to connect legislators with the public and community leaders. This took place at the Capitol, and here at the Madison Concourse. So earlier today it was a black festival and a black expo, really letting people shop at black-owned businesses. Attendees learned and talked about issues like education, health, and uses and more. Senator Dora Drake said this is an opportunity for everyone to learn how to use their voice and how to advocate.
As we talk about what's happening nationally with concerns about cuts to Medicaid and Medicare, or even the cost of living with utility bills. We know that stating the issues is one thing, but to learn how to advocate and push for the change and justice we seek to see takes time and it takes work. And so this is a time where people are building with each other, connecting, and really figuring out what next steps will be, not just for today, but throughout the year.
And also people, and let me tell you about the people who are in the room today. So it's organizations like the Urban League, the NAACP, the Divine Nine, people from the community and other community leaders. I got the opportunity to ask Senator Dora Drake about the DEI programs that have been cut and the alterations that we've been seeing lately, and if that impacted the celebrations that are going on today. I have that answer during our next newscast at 5 p.m. Susan and Brady, I'm going to send it back to you.
Thank you, Tanasia. We look forward to your report. Well, coming up on Live at 4, a special collaboration between Madison Ballet and the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra.
We'll tell you what to expect when Live at 4 returns.
Welcome back, everyone. The Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra and Madison Ballet are coming together for a very special performance.
It's called Masterworks 3, and it will take the stage in the Capitol Theater at the Overture Center tomorrow night. Maestro Andrew Sewell, the music director of the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra, is with us this afternoon. John Malik is the artistic director of Madison Ballet, and Oliver Davis is the composer of this piece, originally from London, I understand, and making his first visit to Madison. Welcome, gentlemen. Great to see all three of you.
Welcome to the desk, too.
Andrew said it looks like we're at a dealer table in Vegas. So, Maestro, tell us about this. How did this all come together, this collaboration?
Well, thank you. We're really excited to be working with the Madison Ballet. Of course, we work every year with the Nutcracker, but as luck would have it, Jar introduced me to the music of Oliver and said I'd really like to program this in a future performance. So we did some of them on the square last summer, and this led to doing a full-scale ballet of half a concert for tomorrow night. And that's he's called it Arcadia, which is after one of the songs. And it also includes the world premiere of 5 airborne dances, which form part of the 9 pieces that we're doing.
That'll be very exciting.
Yes.
And I have to wonder, when you are working with two things where timing is so important, music and dance, how do you collaborate together to make sure everyone is kind of on the same page with that?
Oh, well, that would
easy,
be on
right?
Me. Sounds easy, but it's not. It's hours and hours of rehearsal. We spent at least 3 weeks preparing for this. 8 hours a day, the dancers are in the studio, and we're just going over his music. And I'm very familiar with his music. I've been listening to it for years. They were unfamiliar with it, so it takes a minute for them to get used to the rhythms and the timing. But we eventually all come together, and adding the live component adds a whole new beauty to it and a whole new challenge in a great way.
And Oliver, you composed all of this music.
That's correct, yeah.
And this is the first time you're actually performing it.
Yeah, it's the first time, and it's also unique in that the orchestra, which is very rare, the orchestra is actually on stage with the dancers. You don't usually have that, and that makes, what was really special about seeing the rehearsal last night is you could, because usually the orchestra are in the pit, you know, if you see a musical, a show, whatever, but suddenly they're on stage and you can really see the connection between the musicians and Jar's beautiful ballet that he's created. So I'm very excited for people to see it.
So do you write the music for the ballet, or did you write the ballet for the music?
I wrote the ballet for the music.
Oh, interesting.
That's fun. So this is part of Ollie's 8th CD recording that he's done. A whole number of them. Blue just came out, and that's really hit the charts on the Spotify. But this is a combination of works from Flight, another album that he's got, and that's what Jar introduced me to. And I think the ideal for string orchestra, most of them for string orchestra, piano and harp, and it's got this delightful contemporary feel that I think audience members and the public in general will really like very much.
Does this affect your experience at all, having all these components, the dancing on there? Does it up the experience for you?
It certainly does. What it does is it brings the art forms together. And this cross-pollination is so important, because then people get exposed to not just the dance public, get exposed to actually the music itself, but then our regular audience gets to see the uniqueness of Jar's work, and I can only enhance and improve things for the community.
Yeah. What an exciting thing. And what else can we look forward to coming up?
Well, also on that program is a work by Jennifer Higdon, a short, fast piece called Machinis Rockus, which is almost like computer robots.
Like this?
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
it's very punchy, very energetic, and it kind of sets the tone for the evening. And then in the second half is a very traditional work, Dvorak's Serenade for Strings, and that takes up the second half. And for that, we bring the orchestra forward like a regular concert. So.
What a great opportunity to see this kind of a collaboration. We haven't done this in a very long time, have we?
No, and there's only 100 seats left, so you better be in to get your seats if you want to see it. So here we are.
And we're hoping to produce more of this, you know, because I have a strong message that we need to support local artists, and that means Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra, Children's Theater in Madison, Forward Theater, all of us, you know, are working tirelessly to really show the public here in Madison that we have a very vibrant and strong art scene. So this is like amazing for me. I'm so happy about it.
It's tomorrow night, 7 o'clock at the Capitol Theater at the Overture
7:30.
Center. Oh, 7:30.
Yes.
7:30. You have to come back in the summer for concerts on the square.
Yes.
I look forward to that.
Yeah.
And thank you all for sharing your work with us.
Of course.
Great to see you all. Have a wonderful night.
You as
Thank
well.
you.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Let's take a look outside. Today there's an iconic shot.
Calm out there right now.
It is. The sun was really nice. It's been relatively mild. The winds are picking up this afternoon, and the weather words are windy to end the week. It's going to be much windier tomorrow. Jacob is out on the patio. When we saw you before, the trees were kind of swaying back and forth. Looks a little calmer now.
Yeah, it all depends on when those gusts come. I'm sure at some point in the next minute or so they'll probably be blowing again. But right now, the winds are the story, especially as we look at tomorrow's forecast. Looking at the winds right now, though, up around 15 to 20 miles per hour, still 17 miles per hour in Madison. So definitely breezy right now, but however windy it is right now, it will be a lot worse tomorrow, trust me. Wind gusts up around 25 to 30 miles per hour at this time. They're going to be up to around 45 to 50 miles per hour by tomorrow afternoon. So looking at the wind gust forecast, they will calm down first. So later this evening, the winds are going to be very calm, but then they're going to pick back up for Friday morning. We'll see gusts up around 30 miles per hour to start the day. But then in the afternoon, that's when the winds will peak with gusts up to around 50 miles per hour at times. Could even cause some very minor damage to some buildings, but overall likely going to see some trees and some branches falling off. So just be aware, very strong winds tomorrow, and it's going to continue to be breezy, although not as bad by Friday evening. Now, we're going to be mostly dry for the next couple of days, but we have a very, very high chance of rainfall next week, and we also could see some more snow on the back end of that system. We'll talk more in detail about that system, though, coming up a little bit later.
All right, Jacob, thank you. One City Schools in Madison will delay the launch of its high school program until at least next year, the 2026-27 school year. The board of directors voted to delay the launch based on its current 8th grade enrollment, preparedness, and uncertainty around federal funding. In the meantime, One City Preparatory Academy will limit its enrollment to 6th to 8th grades. The school previously offered 9th and 10th grade classes. Those grades shut down in 2023 due to staffing shortages. One City's principal says the delay will allow One City to fully realize its vision.
President Trump says Canada and Mexico can expect 25% tariffs to go into effect next week. The president says the tariffs will begin on March 4th and threaten to impose an additional 10% on Chinese imports on that same date. Mexico, China, and Canada are America's top 3 trading partners. Simultaneous tariffs on all 3 nations could lead to soaring prices as Americans are worried about inflation.
They said if on Tuesday there are unjustified tariffs brought in on Canada, we will have an immediate and extremely strong response, as Canadians expect.
Canadian leaders have previously said their retaliation could include going after our state's dairy farmers.
To Wall Street now, where U.S. stock indexes fell sharply on this Thursday as fears of tariffs take over. The Dow dropped 194 points, the Nasdaq lost 531, and the S&P 500 was down 94.
Opioid deaths in Wisconsin are falling.
A new report from the Wisconsin Policy Forum shows overdoses have plummeted across the state. Last June, opioid deaths were at their lowest level since April of 2020. It comes after the state invested millions of dollars into local governments for fighting the opiate crisis after a settlement with pharmaceutical companies. The state's Department of Health Services has received about $75 million from that settlement and will get $153 million more through 2038. This year alone, DHS received $36 million in settlement funds. It's being spread across the state's counties. It's funding room and board for Medicaid members in treatment, programs within law enforcement agencies, and school-based prevention programs.
Again, the DHS will get $153 million more in settlement funds through 2038. The agency has a survey out through tomorrow for you to share how you'd like to see the money used in your community. You can find that survey by going to the agency's website, clicking News Releases, Update on Latest Settlement Funds, and then Opioid Settlement Public Input Survey. A new legislative committee in Wisconsin is already starting to make a splash.
The Wisconsin GOAT, or GOAT Committee, is tasked with finding government waste in Wisconsin, similar to Elon Musk's work at the federal level. Political reporter Will Keneally is at the Capitol with the latest.
Yeah, GOAT there stands for Government Operations Accountability and Transparency. And that committee sent this letter to Wisconsin cities and towns, asking them about their diversity, equity, and inclusion practices. Now, this story was initially reported by Wisconsin Watch, but News 3 Now was able to independently verify these letters went out to the 50 largest cities in Wisconsin. In our viewing area, that includes Beloit, Janesville, Watertown, Madison, Fitchburg, and Middleton. Now, these are some of the first steps Republicans are taking to root out government waste here in Wisconsin.
I think part of the discussion is to say, are there grants that are going to local governments that have requirements in them that add extra cost or extra burden that we could look to say we're not going to allow that to happen?
Democrats, though, are worried about the direction of the committee, and we'll hear more from them, as well as local leaders coming up tonight at 6. Reporting from the state capitol, Will Keneally, News 3 Now.
All right, thank you, Will. We'll see you at 6. Coming up on Live at 4, it's almost Friday.
Ooh, don't you think confetti should be falling down?
Yes.
Maybe next week. Josh Sprider has 3 things for you and your family to do this weekend in the 608. It's Thursday, which means we're working for the weekend in the 608 this afternoon.
Josh Sprider is here with your weekend planner.
We are looking ahead to the first weekend of March. I'm looking at 3 things for you to do with your family this weekend. We start with something that's growing in popularity here at home while also celebrating one of Madison's favorites. I'm talking League One Volleyball, or LOVE, which is a first-of-its-kind community reimagining the future of volleyball. You have not 1 but 2 chances to check out the new LOVE Madison volleyball team this weekend. They're at the Alliant Energy Center, taking on Omaha Friday night and Austin on Saturday. Tickets start at $15. Spring may have you looking ahead to building and remodeling projects this year. The 2025 Madison Build, Remodel, and Landscape Expo is at the Monona Terrace this weekend. You can explore the latest design trends and product offerings. This is a great opportunity to meet and interact with the area's top experts and discover some new ideas. It is free for all. Open Friday 2 to 6, Saturday 10 to 6, and Sunday 10 to 5. Finally, if you're down for a little drive from the 608 to the 414, the Milwaukee County Zoo is hosting its Family Free Day on Saturday. March to the zoo on this special day when all guests are admitted for free. Just remember, you will still have to pay for parking, and some of those regular attraction fees may still apply. The Milwaukee County Zoo is open for free, again, 9:30 to 4:30 on Saturday. You can find more happenings this weekend by going to channel3000.com. For Live at 4, I'm Josh Sprider.
Thank you, Josh. And a reminder about our Spirit of Service campaign that we're doing in partnership with our friends at Vortex.
We're recognizing local veterans making a positive impact in the community. To nominate a veteran, all you have to do is go to channel3000.com. And over the coming weeks, we'll be sharing their stories, and you'll get to vote and choose which veteran gets to take home a $5,000 cash prize. A winner will be announced in early April. We'll be right back.
I'll go below the Mason-Dixon.
Look at this beautiful place.
I am booking my flight tickets right now.
And you're taking me.
Yes.
This is a live picture from Avalon, California, in Southern California, between LA and San Diego.
Yeah.
That is so pretty. It is 76 degrees today.
Oh, okay, back to reality.
Yeah, right.
Getting enough sleep is a major factor in good health.
A landmark new study just released today shows that low-income adults sometimes have a higher mortality risk. Dr. Zorba Pastor is here with the details. Hi, Zorba.
Hello.
Good to see you
guys.
So this really emphasizes how important sleep
Correct.
truly
And
is.
it goes along with some other studies that have been like this. So this particular study, 48,000 people that they followed over a 5-year period, and many of these people were economically disadvantaged. Also black versus white versus Asian. And they found a few things. They found out, first of all, if you had less than 7 hours of sleep a night, you had a 29% increase in mortality over that 5-year period. And if the regular sleep was 7 to 9 hours, and greater than 9 hours of sleep didn't seem to produce anything at all. So it really showed that's the case. And part of the issue is people who often are economically disadvantaged have to work 2 jobs. They don't get enough sleep, and that's part of this. Now, there was another study pretty much about 6 months ago, a year ago, that came out, a 400,000 person study out of the United Kingdom that showed the same thing, that less than 7 hours of sleep is not good for us. Now, in the US study, it showed that it was heart attacks and strokes that tended to kill you. In the UK study, it showed also that cancer may be another cause of death. So getting enough sleep is important. Sometimes we burn the candle at both ends and we don't think about sleep.
It's tricky too, because one, you can't sleep, then you're stressed out, then you're stressed out, then you can't sleep, and it's like a never-ending cycle.
Right, yeah. So you've got to look kind of at sleep hygiene, and you've got to look at it as a priority. Trying to get to sleep at the same time every day can make a difference. Shutting off the screen makes a difference, because the blue light from your phone, from your computer, from television tends to interrupt sleep. Stopping caffeine after maybe early in the afternoon, late in the morning. There are a lot of things you can do to make a difference, and making a difference makes a difference in whether or not you're going to live or die.
What works to get more sleep? Because I'm
works?
struggling terribly with sleep recently.
Well, one of the things, especially if you're struggling with worrying about things, you're anxious about things, there are changes, for instance, in the government, low-dose antidepressant, doxepin is a very good example, 10 milligrams in the evening. Hardly works as an antidepressant, but it helps you sleep. That's from a doctor. You need a doctor or a PA or a nurse practitioner. Gabapentin is another drug. Over-the-counter drugs tend not to work that well. Over time, they tend to be antihistamines. They make you groggy.
What about like melatonin?
Melatonin is a good first step, and for some people, melatonin works. But a regular schedule, making sure the room isn't too hot, making sure that you sort of do things on a regular basis, so you're trying to get that, can make a difference. And unfortunately, or fortunately, if you make that sleep difference, you will live longer.
Interesting.
Well, has anyone ever noticed, too, the times when you're trying to go to sleep, you have to go to sleep, you're wide awake, but then at the times you shouldn't be?
Yes.
That's true.
And the other issue is what you're doing later in the evening. You know, if you're really agitated, you're doing things, if you exercise just before you go to sleep. What I recommend is people go in and Google. The Mayo Clinic site is excellent, gives very good ideas of sleep hygiene. The National Sleep Foundation is also good, and just taking care of yourself. Sleep is as important as diet and exercise.
Very good. All good tips. Thank you very much.
Good to see you, Zorba. We'll see you soon.
You guys.
Well, that wind outside will wake you right up. Here's meteorologist Jacob Montesano. Jacob.
Yeah, the wind will really be the story tomorrow. Gusts will be up to around 45 to 50 miles per hour during the afternoon, but that will also dictate the temperatures for about the next 48 hours, with cooler temperatures for the weekend, and then next week we are expecting quite a bit of rain. So as I mentioned, those temperatures, they're going to be mild for at least the next 24 hours, as we'll see low temperatures only around 40. At least these are the temperatures for the morning. The lows will actually occur around midnight. They'll be around 32, 35 degrees, and then they'll warm up a little bit with those winds increasing, and then the winds will be out of the south, southwest, kind of more southwest westerly, and that will bring in some warm temperatures, especially for the afternoon, early afternoon, I should say, where we'll see high temperatures in the lower 50s for a few areas. But then the winds will shift out of the northwest for the evening, and that will cool the temperatures down for Saturday and Sunday, where highs will be in the 30s, and we'll see partly sunny skies both days, so we aren't going to see any precipitation, and by Sunday, the winds will be a lot calmer. But now I want to talk a little bit about next week. So we have 2 chances of rainfall. The first one does look to be pretty light. We'll see some moisture move through our area late Sunday night into Monday morning. Could see it in the form of a wintry mix, but overall, we're mostly expecting rain. And then as we get towards Tuesday, that's when rain becomes a lot more likely. So it will start Tuesday afternoon and evening, and rain is expected to be widespread throughout Tuesday evening into the early overnight hours. But notice off to the north, we could see some of that rain transitioning into snow. And as temperatures cool down, that rain snow line will push further south, and we definitely could see some snowfall at times and potentially heavy snow at times late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Best chance of that will be for north and west of Madison. Now, a lot could change between now and then, so we're not too focused on accumulation totals, but accumulation could definitely be possible if the conditions are just right for our area, and that could create a very messy Wednesday morning into Wednesday afternoon. Again, a lot could change between now and then, but it does look very likely that we'll see at the very least rainfall, but depending on where that system tracks will determine whether we see snow and how much snow we see, and this does look to clear out later in the day Wednesday. So until then, just a few light chances of precipitation, but once we get to Tuesday, I mean, rain looks likely, and as I mentioned, we could see that rain transition into snow, which could create a little bit of a wintry mess as we head into Wednesday. So that's in about 5 to 6 days. What's happening in the next day will be the very windy weather and the change in temperature. So we'll continue having more details on next week's system as it gets closer.
The Henry Vila Zoo is welcoming 4 new residents to Madison.
4 new meerkat pups were born last month to Mom Poppy. Look at the happy family. This is Poppy's 2nd litter within the last year. Meerkats' gestation period is just 11 weeks, so they can have several litters per year. The babies are living in the green barn in the children's zoo and have started venturing out, and that means you might see them on your next visit.
Oh, I hope so.
They're cuties.
Aren't they cuties?
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah, little Timons from The Lion King.
Exactly.
Hakuna Matata.
Jacob's here now with one final check of the weather, and the wind is going to be the big story.
Yeah, tomorrow especially, we'll have those gusts possibly up to 50 miles per hour, and that will cool the temperatures down for the weekend, but we are expecting dry conditions and calm winds for the weekend, so that's the good news. Then, as we get towards next week, it does look pretty active right now. Light precipitation chance for Monday morning, but a much better precip chance will come Tuesday afternoon into the evening and overnight hours, continuing into Wednesday. And as I mentioned a moment ago, we could see kind of a wintry mess if the conditions are just right, where that rain transitions into snow. Might be a repeat of that April storm last year, just considering the nature of the system. So we'll keep an eye on it. No alert days yet because a lot can change, but again, it's looking pretty active then.
All right, Jacob, thank you. We'll be right back. Tomorrow on Live at 4, Will Loper will show us what's streaming this weekend. And later on News 3 at 6, how to spot an auction scam. Thanks for watching Live at 4 today, everybody. Hope to see you back here tomorrow. News 3 Now at 5 starts right now.